not do Bill Graham. And not only so ourselves, also at the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves. Now it's interesting, if you'll stop just for a moment and notice verse 22. For we know the whole creation what? And look at this. Even we ourselves groan within ourselves. Now, this is probably just simply, it's not necessarily meaning like, it's used in the sense of the struggle to resist. Not to resist, but the struggle of frustration. It's not the groaning of articulation, but the groaning of agony, of dying, of the frustration that comes from the mark of sin in the universe. Even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for our adoption. To wit, I thought we were already adopted. What do we learn about Christianity? Look here, listen. What do we learn about Christianity? That's double his invitation. Christianity is always. You be quiet, man. What I mean by twofold, then? All right, you said it's alarm or you get it up here. You remember we talked about everything you're that you're redeemed now, but you shall be redeemed. You have eternal life, but you shall have eternal life. You're in the kingdom now. All right, now the idea basically is that what we're talking about, waiting for our adoption, is again another example of what we're supposed to be trying to get across to you. That what many of our brethren miss in Christianity is always what? Twofold. Now, Galatians said we're already what? But he says we shall be adopted. Now, these are not things, in other words, sometimes rather say we have things in prospect. But the brethren, the way they say it, some of the brethren, leave me thinking they're saying we don't really have anything now. We'll get it later. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says we have as our possession these things now. But there is a fuller development and culmination of in the future. We are adopted sons now. But we are not enjoying completely the final privileges of adoption yet. So it's always interesting of how, again, like so many of the brethren so confused over thinking that heaven is the ultimate goal of man. Now, obviously heaven is the ultimate home, but the ultimate goal of man is not just heaven. What is it? It's the resurrection and the completing of man. See, now that's why he says this. Even we ourselves grown there and said, waiting for our adoption. Now let me explain. With the redemption of our body. You see, again, everything in the Bible screams what Greek thought says nothing. Greek thought says no body, only a permanent spirit exists. The Bible says not so, it is spirit, soul, and body, or it's not real. So what's the final great act of redemption in your life? That gets your body back. Changed. Vastly changed, but not exchanged. That's a big difference, right? Yeah. So there's going to be a renovation of the body, which is parallel to what we talked about in our first renovation. Incidentally, go back to Romans 8. Let me show you something else. Well, no, never mind. I'm going to hit. I'll get it in a few minutes, and that's all. Now, he says in verse 24, for in hope were we saved. But hope when you see is not hope, for who hopes for that which he seeth. But if we hope for that which we see not, then we with patience do wait for it. That's why Christianity is twofold. I have many things. I have salvation now, redemption now, adoption now, eternal life now, the kingdom. but I'm still struggling with the presence of sin, the power of sin, a world blinded by sin. And so even though I have all these things now, sometimes, rather than bringing me what I'm longing for, the idea of the ability to serve without constant resistance, without constant struggle, but my Christianity has brought often new struggles into my life. But God says, I'm promising you that there's another aspect of it. There's a culmination of it, a great promise in front. If you'll hold faithfully to it now, then I'll promise you something so great in the future that no matter what happens to you now, that will make it pale as though it were nothing. So because we have that hope, and because of what we are, no matter what happens to us, we can keep on doing what? Pressing on toward that greater thing that God has promised us. And since we have a God who cannot lie, that is our desire and our expectation, which is the idea of hope. The renovation that we're talking about, the things that are coming. So that's just, again, the motivation to keep us going. And incidentally, remember what we started this whole section out on? What was the key verse to our motivation? Verse 17. Verse 17 said what?
Joy in Christ.
If we walk. That's the key. In other words, being Christians, what's going to come into our life? Some suffering is going to come in our life because, well, like Harry said this morning, you trouble the waters and rock the boat when you don't even intend to. Just your presence sometimes. If you don't have something to hold on and motivate you. So there is the removing of the marks of sin out of everything. We get out of the universe, we get out of the renovation of the body. Now our third renovation is the renovation of our strength. The renovation of our strength, which is verses 26 through 27. Incidentally, well, let's go to 26 and 27.
Bill?
Yeah.
Do you want to follow along in the syllabus?
Yeah, I left out the renovation of hope and blurred it in with the human body, didn't I?
It's
I
bad.
think I did that deliberately. I think I made that one point for the reason that the hope of the resurrection was what he was talking about. So let's make the renovation of the human body run verse 23 through verse 25. This will be the renovation of our strength. The renovation of our strength. This will be verse 26 and 27. No, you can't follow the syllabus through here. Very obviously, I've made some changes.
Okay, just a request. If you see that you're different from it faster, just let us know.
I forget it. So I'll make a request to you. If you see I'm different from fastly, let me know.
All right.
All right. Now renovation of our strength. He says, and in like manner. In other words, the idea is the like manner what? That we have hope to survive and keep going. In like manner, some other hope, another help. In like manner, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmity. Now, infirmity means what, basically? Just another word. Yeah, weakness. Our weakness. Of course, the sickness is a form of weakness. Now, he says that we're having to be motivated because when we suffer, that our human infirmities, we recoil from what happens. And so we have to have future motivations, these renovations to help. But in addition to the universe and to our body, what he's going to say is we have an additional help with our weakness. And this is going to be present in time. All right. In like manner, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmity. Well, we know not how to pray as we ought. Now, perhaps prayer is an illustration, but it's an important illustration. But the Spirit Himself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Look what that word is again, groaning. The idea of how sin has marked and scarred and twisted everything. Now, a lot of times when brethren get, like I've already told you, they react against Pentecostalism so much that they run off the bridge the other end, fall in deep water. And they want to be rid of the Spirit entirely. Just have the Word in, basically, is what they end up saying. This verse obviously becomes a puzzle to them. One or two brothers that I have respect for have got to the point where they're even trying to say that this is the human spirit here. Well, that's sheer nonsense. I just hate to say nonsense is nonsense. How can my human spirit help my infirmity since my human spirit is part of my infirmity? Right? I need some help for my weakness, don't you all? I need some help to get me through somehow. All right. So he says that God has given us something in addition to the promises right now. He's given us something in the present help of our present needs right now. And he said, we know how to pray as long as the Spirit Himself makes intercession for us. Now stop here, because again, you'll meet some good brethren who need some help in this thing. They say, well, I thought only Jesus did this. Well, they misunderstood the terms, mediator and intercessor. How many mediators are there? And how many can there be? Now, why is that so? And because the only thing, a mediator is one who represents two estranged parties equally. And since the estrangement is between God and man, the only being in existence is both God and man is who? And so there can only be one mediator, because he's the one who can deal it all. What's an intercessor? What's the difference between a mediator and an intercessor? What, pardon me? No, that's a paraclete. That's a comforter. Well, a go-between, again, what do you mean by a go-between? Well, that sounds like a mediator to me.
Well, or maybe you say he's one that presents a case. He picks what you want if he
Plead your case.
Well, that's that.
No, that's true too. I'm not talking about the legal sense. You know that an intercessor is one who speaks for you.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's the key. This one who speaks for another. How many intercessors are there for us? Well, I hope there's in here. Like for example, when we prayed for Billy, there were hundreds of intercessors for Billy before and while he was gone. So an intercessor is one who speaks a word. It's all in the world. It's like, how many of you had brothers and sisters? Ever had the occasion one of you got in trouble? So the other would go, you didn't have. I had cousins. We didn't do that. I'm sorry. I got in trouble. I'd get Bob. I said, Bob, you help Mom. Help me get out. That was an intercessor. So you have the more you love people, the more you share your life with people, the greater the number of intercessors you'll have. Everybody can pray on your behalf before the Father becomes an intercessor. So there's only one mediator, but there should be lots of intercessors. But your most proficient intercessor will be who? That'd be the Holy Spirit. He's a sort of intercessor. His main job is mediator. Way to go there. Yes, sir. He is one who represents two estranged parties equally. A comforter, as was suggested a few months ago, is one who stands beside you to help, which the Spirit does that too. But the Spirit here is intercessor, where He speaks to your heart. Okay? Now, and in like manner, the Spirit also helps our weakness, for we know not how to pray as we ought. But the Spirit Himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Now, somebody says, what is that? Who does the groaning? It's an irrelevant argument. It really doesn't make any difference. I think that's my groaning. You know why I think so? What is the creation doing in verse 22? And what are we doing in verse 23? So what would you think would be the one groaning in this verse, 26? More than likely it's my groaning. I cannot articulate my needs. Listen, I've gone to pray to God about some things and asking for some things. Later on I realized were certainly been detrimental to me. And I ask it in all sincerity. So what He's saying is, look, you're weak. You don't even know how to pray like you ought to pray. But that the indwelling of the Spirit, along with His work with you in sanctification, is also speaking the word in your behalf, so that the prayers that you offer are articulated. What you cannot say, He says. So I said, well, I believe that the Greek insists on the Spirit. Well, the thing about the Greek is it doesn't insist on either one of them. That's confusing. But if it's the Spirit that's strong, all He's saying is that the Spirit is saying things in such a fashion that you could never say them. So it ends up being the same thing anyway. He's expressing what you can. But I would think the groaning remains with us, since is what the context is doing. And He searches the heart. He that searches the heart knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because He maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God. All in the world, He said, is this: is don't you ever worry about the fact that God does not understand your needs. He does. Primarily in context, what would be the circumstances of your praying? Age 17. So, you're in prison. Your wife is in prison. You're being persecuted for teaching in prison.